well, but yeah, just to make sure that when they went into that first task, they could get in there.
But look, theoretically, they can do this from anywhere. They don't have to be coming to class.
But
and
they do.
I have students who are coming to every class.
Yeah. I have one that doesn't come to class, and that's because she works night shift, and she does it from home. Everybody else, so I have 90% attendance every week.
Do you think it would make sense to use such a model for block lessons? Like if you have just 1 week to deliver lots of content, say very dry content?
You'd have to have a lot of self-assessing. Yeah. It would have to mark for you, because as a teacher you don't have time to go in there and hold them up. That was the hold up in a lot of things they'd say to me. You know, when are you going to mark it? But it depends on what the challenge is. Ours was linear, so we had to move from different levels, but not all challenges would have to do that.
Yeah.
You could just have
But
completions
in that case,
without grading.
Very, very different levels as well. So
That's right. Yeah, it wouldn't have to be graded. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. All right.
There are no other questions. Just show our appreciation.
Thank you.
Yeah, really interesting.
Thanks.
So your materials up on the course on the website?
Yes.
Great.
And there's a mapping template and a storyboarding template that's in our Moodle site as well.
I'm going to seem very rude because we're about to get on a plane back to Melbourne now, so I'm very sorry. We're really disappointed not to be seeing you all.
It's all right. My slides are also up on the site. Yep, come in. Okay, so I'm kind of left to introduce myself as I've been chairing these sessions, but now I'm presenting. I'm Colin Simpson from Canberra Institute of Technology. I'm an e-learning designer. I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've had an interest in games in education for about that long. Initially, it just seemed like a really good way to play games at work, and the more I looked into it, the more I realised that there are some real educational benefits to a game-based learning approach. I tweet as Gamer Learner, and so I'm just going to give you, so if you were here for the last presentation, that was really fantastic, and that was a really good illustration of some of the things that I'll be talking to you about. So just a very quick show of hands, who's familiar with the concept of gamification? Okay, all right, so a fair few. So we'll be looking at what is gamification, and obviously what makes a game, what does gamification look like in education, why should I do it, and how can I do it? So gamification is everywhere already. Even if you're not really conscious of it, you're probably participating in it in some way or another. Your frequent flyer program, where they're giving you a reward for using their service. The McDonald's Monopoly game. The little fancy watches that you can get now that track absolutely everything that you do. And exercise and put you on a leaderboard and give you all of this kind of information. So this is a screen from the Android App Store. Just the way that they're communicating information, they're using badges now as sort of graphical indications. It's all part of the thing. So it's really about taking a game mechanic and applying it somewhere else. So I'm going to ask you now, what makes noughts and crosses a game? So just some quick thoughts.
Winning and losing.
Yeah, winning and losing competition. Yeah, what else?
Define rules.
Yep, rules, yep. Betting, okay, betting the odds.
Strategy.
All right.
Competition.
Yep. Yeah, and look, you might laugh when you say fun, but fun, the science of fun is incredibly detailed. So all of these things, there are rules, you take turns, there are obstacles, so you can't win if someone's in your way. Obviously there's a win state. You're using avatars, you're using tokens to represent yourself. So it's not you there, but it's a representation of you. Obviously there are players and there are competition. In a game you might find that there are a range of different things that you can do. Again, and I'm going to be referring back to the last talk a lot because it's always nice to have a practical educational example. Homeschooling Hotel, they had a lot of different types of activities. So this is a game called Assassin's Creed, and the different icons there are, so there's a little treasure chest that you need to go and find, there's a temple that you need to go and steal something from, there's bases that you can go and raid. So you actually, set sail and you choose what it is that you actually want to do in this game. There's feedback about how well you've actually completed your task. So I'm assuming a few people have probably played Angry Birds. You can do enough to get by, get 1 star. You can do really well, get 3 stars. It's up to you. You only need to get 1 star to proceed, but often I'll find that I have to go back and get all 3 stars. There's information about how far you've actually gotten through the game. This is a nice example from Candy Crush, which is kind of evil, and I don't play it, but it's a really brilliantly designed game. Well, I got a screenshot of this off the internet. But the other thing that's really nice in this is you'll notice that next to some of the stocks are, faces of presumably people that the player knows. So it's already saying, okay, well, you've gotten up to 85, which is the same as Bill there, but you haven't gotten to 89 yet, and you haven't gotten to 91. So a little bit of competition, a little bit of, I'm better than them. A game can have a really compelling story. Now, this looks like something from the 80s, but it's actually a relatively recent game where you play a checkpoint agent in some kind of Eastern European border city. And the detail that it goes into and the little ethical choices that you have to make are really great. In education, does anyone remember Clippy? Paperclip from the old versions of Microsoft Office would pop up every 5 minutes and say, hey, it looks like you're writing a letter. So yeah, Clippy got sort of unceremoniously dumped a few years ago. But for Office 2010, Windows released this game called Ribbon Hero 2 Clippy's Second Chance, where you get to play as Clippy and seek some redemption. So there's a little story where he's looking for a job, ends up working for a mad scientist, gets stuck in a time machine and gets hurled back in time. And then you can choose the different missions that you actually... And so this is built into Office. So if you open Word, there'll be an extra little icon in the top right-hand corner with your points and how far you've gone. And there's just little activities that you can choose from all of the different packages in the Office suite. And it'll look something like this. So there's a series of tasks that you need to do. You need to format the text or add a drop cap or whatever. And they've just kind of built this into Word. So, if you're sitting at your desk and you just need to space out for a little bit, you can actually learn about Word and still play. How about badges? How many people have come across badges? Yeah, a few more. It's definitely an emergent field. A more credible term, I guess, is micro-credentialing. People seem to take that a little bit more seriously. I've been trying to push badges within CIT, and a lot of people go, oh, little digital stickers, yes. And look, yeah, okay, there's a certain amount of triviality to it, but the thing with badges is that it's a really nice form of recognition, and it's a nice way of tracking your progress. So in Open to Study, which is the Open Universities Australia short course kind of program, they use badges really well. And so this is just how they indicate how you've been participating in the Open to Study program. So some of them I've got, some of them I haven't got, but I'll do things to get a badge that I wouldn't normally do. So I'll actually ask a question on the discussion forum, or I'll, you know, sort of make friends with 3 people in the online course or whatever. Or I'd normally just kind of burrow forward and focus through the thing. So it's a nice way of just encouraging new behaviour. In education, Sarah Thornycroft, who works at UNE, has done probably some of the most interesting stuff with gamification I've seen. So this I could talk to you about a lot. In a sense though, it's a way of providing teachers with Moodle training, and it's set up as a little mystery, and it uses restricted access and activity completion really effectively. So basically you just need to kind of work your way through activities, and she makes use of the 1, 2, 3 kind of like the 3 stars in Angry Birds. So you can do enough to get by, or you can do really well. And it's more for your own kind of intrinsic sort of sense of self, your own, yeah, it's an intrinsic motivation thing. And yeah, so she set it up with a fantastic story. So why do we do it? Just to make learning a little bit deeper and to give people a connection. Sorry, I'm just going to grab some water. So there's this concept called flow, which is really about when you're in the zone and you're just completely engaged. And the photo, again, that they showed from Homeschooling of those students working on a database problem, and they were just like, you could see them, they were all staring at their computers and they were completely engaged, and there's nothing I find less interesting than databases. So, you know, to get to that point is really rewarding. And this is essentially how we can look at flow. So if something's really hard, we will get, you know, more stressed about it if we don't have the skills. But if we can find that middle ground, which is, you know, what we're looking at in our education design, people, you know, will engage. Also known as Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, if you want to get into pedagogical and andragogical kind of semantics. Another key element of gamification is a term called fiero. Literally it means proud in Italian. If there's anyone Italian here and I'm wrong, I'm sorry, that's what I got off the internet. It's the sense of triumph, the sense of achievement that you can get from an experience. And that's a very important part of connecting with your learning. This is where we start talking about fun. There's actually 4 different types of fun that we've identified. And so there's no rules to this, it's just interacting with the space. So this is, more people use the stairs and the escalator when they turn them into piano keys. Because it was fun. It was, you know, they didn't have to do it, they just enjoyed doing it. Yeah, so there's hard fun where you're overcoming obstacles, people fun where you're working, you know, with people that you care about, and serious fun where you're actually doing something, you know, significant. I'm not going to run you through this whole thing, but this is actually a really interesting diagram. I put these slides up in the course on the Moodleposium website. And it is worth looking at because it sort of provides more information about this. So yeah, in terms of why you would do it, motivation. So there's two kinds of motivation. They were talking about those a fair bit in the last presentation. There's extrinsic, which is rewards from the outside. So that might literally be getting a coffee or getting sandwiches. And extrinsic motivation's okay. Getting physical, tangible rewards is okay, and it will drive people for a while. The big issue with extrinsic motivation is that you've got to keep giving people the rewards. Otherwise, as soon as the rewards dry up, the motivation goes away. Intrinsic motivation, which is finding something from yourself, is a far more durable kind of form of motivation because people are doing it for more personal reasons. So you might set it up so that, so one of the extrinsic motivators is getting access to new parts. So you keep playing the game so that you can see what's in the next level. You participate because it might give you extra powers within the game. So in this case, Urban Dictionary, if you make enough contributions, you're able to moderate the content. Yeah, you can get stuff. Intrinsic motivation, it's about, bringing it from yourself. On an educational level, learners really like having control of their learning path. And again, this comes from having the ability to choose what things you're doing. And so you can set your course up so that people can, you can run it in a linear fashion, but if you provide people with even just, I'm not going to say the illusion of choice, but just the feeling that they can jump around the course, and maybe there's an activity they find a little bit hard, so they skip that and they go to a different one, and then they come back. They just feel like they have more control of their learning path. People feel strongly about being able to do things, and so if an assessment isn't vitally important, they get it right the first time, let them do it over and over again. You learn by failing and getting up and doing it again. Being able to connect to learners in the world. Again, intrinsic motivation is heavily driven by challenge, curiosity, control, fantasy, competition, collaboration and recognition. Now these are all really core elements of virtually any game you can think of. Malcolm Knowles, his principles of adult learning, pretty much the same thing. Now it's possible to go to quite, sort of serious extremes with this. This guy Lee Sheldon did some really interesting work a couple of years ago with gamification. He was teaching a game design subject, so his students were obviously more accommodating of this kind of an approach. But instead of offering grades, he set up this levelling system where, sort of beyond a certain point, so for every activity that you do, you might be making a forum post, it could be, taking a quick quiz, doing a presentation to class or whatever, you get experience points. And then you kind of progress from level by level by level, and similarly to the Holmes Glen experience, there's a little leaderboard so you can see where everyone else is. And you get a sense of progress, and you get a sense of just achievement. And this is, I know you can read that, it's quite small, but that's all of the sort of missions that he set up. Now he put it into the context of like a sort of slightly nerdy role-playing game. So he had guilds, he called people guild leaders, and it was a little it was probably a little further than you would necessarily take it, but I think the principles actually stand up really well. In terms of game players, Bartle identified 4 different types of players, and it's more about the motivations that these people have in the world. So there are killers who are interested in winning, rank, competition, and leaderboards, ranks, just being better than everyone else. That's a really strong driver for them. Other people more interested in their own internal successes. So yes, I was able to do this, I was able to do this. I've sort of proven something to myself. Socialites, just happy to be there doing things with other people, and the explorers are actually just out there kind of learning new things and being ahead of other people, not in a competitive way, but just being the first to discover something. Now, if you walk away from here with anything at all, particularly in a Moodle context, it would be taking a look at this. Natalie Denmead, who tweets as @MoodleMuse, put this amazing guide together which sort of gives you an overview of what tools work best with the different kinds of learners/gamers, why you might use them, and I'm not going to sort of step you through every single one, but this particular poster, I think, can offer a lot of ideas for sort of adding game elements to your Moodle course. And yeah, so there's a little bit more information about a lot of the different tools. Now, some of the tools that she particularly focuses on are using badges, which does come under stuff or extrinsic motivation, but it's also very tightly linked to progress and just kind of recognition. So it's kind of on the border, I guess, between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Using conditional activities. So in eLearn's our platform, in Moodle, you're able to set it up so that next to every activity or resource, there's a little checkbox, and it might be for a forum that only gets ticked once the student has, made a post to the forum or something, or it might be they need to read, follow the web link, or get X% in a quiz. And then you can use that completion tracking so that the student knows exactly where they are within the course, what they've done, what they've still got to do. But you can also set it up so that until they've completed an activity, they don't get access to the next one. And that next one can be greyed out so that they can see that it's there, they can see what they've got to do it, but they can't access it until they've completed the first one. And that's kind of what it looks like. And again, that kind of ties back to that Candy Crush thing. And so the student will get a report that just sort of shows them exactly what they need to do, whether they've done it, when they did it. And it's just a nice way of, sort of knowing where they are in the game/course. Now, there are plugins that have been made available. I think this is available for 2.7 and up, and you'd need to get this installed. But there are plugins available. This is the Level Up plugin that actually basically does what Sheldon did in his course and attributes point values to particular actions within your Moodle course. So it just sits there as a block on the side. Every time you do something, the progress bar moves across a little bit. When it gets to the end, you go up a level, and you can set up, so that was a label that I set up, and you only get to see the cat picture once you get past level 4. So it's, you know, like it's not the most serious educational experience, but it's a bit fun. Restricted access, as I said. Badges. This is a pretty good example of why I should never be allowed to design badges. But, you know, there are badge design tools out there. Badges are built into Moodle. They can be tied to the Mozilla Open Badges project. People are familiar with badges. One of the things you might consider is actually having peer-designed badges, peer-awarded badges, so that each student is able to award a badge to one peer in the class. Now, yeah, sure, that could be abused, but it might be, oh, okay, I can give a badge to someone who particularly advanced my understanding of something, and it's just a nice way that students can you know, sort of connect with their peers and just, I don't know, I guess the person getting the badge will get that little moment of fiero or just recognition. And obviously points and leaderboards. Previous presenters with Homesland Hotel said they had a leaderboard system set up, that they were attached to to, you know, quiz results and everything else. I wanted to ask actually how they did that. I don't think there's any specific tool within Moodle that will support that, so you'd probably have to do that manually in a table, I'd imagine. Again, you can use your badges and, you know, sort of restricted access as a way of showing people what they've done and what they could do.